In this episode, we're going to focus on how a SOC decides what to work first when multiple alerts arrive at once, because prioritization is where monitoring becomes a real operational capability rather than a pile of notifications. Beginners often assume an alert's priority is whatever the tool says it is, like a red label meaning urgent, but that approach breaks down quickly because tools do not fully understand your environment, your business priorities, or the quality of your telemetry. The practical way to prioritize is to balance three ideas: severity, confidence, and business impact, and to accept that these do not always point in the same direction. Severity is about the potential seriousness of the security issue. Confidence is about how likely the alert is to represent real harmful activity. And business impact is about what the organization stands to lose if the issue is real and not addressed quickly. The trade-off part matters because you will often see alerts that look severe but have low confidence, or alerts that are very likely true but involve low-impact systems, and you need a consistent way to decide. By the end, you should be able to explain how these three dimensions work together and how a SOC can prioritize in a way that is fast, defensible, and sustainable. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyberauthor.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Start by clarifying severity, because it is easy to confuse severity with urgency or with impact, even though they are related. Severity is a measure of what kind of security event might be happening and how much harm that type of event can cause in general, such as account takeover, privilege escalation, active intrusion, or data exposure. A privilege escalation pattern is usually more severe than a single failed login because it suggests deeper access and higher potential damage. A potential data export from a sensitive store is usually more severe than a benign configuration change because it could indicate loss of confidentiality. Severity is often influenced by the stage of activity, where early reconnaissance might be less severe than confirmed destructive actions, but it still matters because early detection can prevent later harm. For beginners, the key is to see severity as a property of the suspected behavior, not a property of how scary the alert looks. Severity answers the question, if this is real, how bad could it get, and how quickly might it get worse? When you separate severity from other factors, you can reason more clearly about why certain alert types deserve attention. Confidence is the second dimension, and it is arguably the most important for day-to-day prioritization because low-confidence alerts can consume time without producing results. Confidence is your estimate that the alert represents real malicious or risky activity, based on the quality of evidence, the specificity of the detection, and the amount of corroboration available. A behavior-based alert that combines multiple signals, like unusual login plus a privilege change plus a new remote session, tends to have higher confidence than a single event trigger like a generic anomaly message. Confidence also depends on data quality, because if your pipeline has gaps, delays, or inconsistent fields, then even a well-designed alert might be less trustworthy. Enrichment often increases confidence because it provides context that explains whether the behavior is plausible for the role, asset, or time window involved. For beginners, it helps to think of confidence as a measurement of how likely the alert will survive a quick validation check. A high-confidence alert should be one where an analyst can quickly find supporting evidence that makes the story coherent, while a low-confidence alert is one where even basic confirmation is hard. Confidence keeps the SOC from chasing ghosts, and it keeps attention focused on signals that are more likely to matter. Business impact is the third dimension, and it is what keeps alert prioritization aligned with the purpose of security operations, which is to protect what the organization values. Business impact is about what would happen if the suspected behavior is real, based on the assets and processes involved, such as customer-facing services, critical internal systems, sensitive data stores, or revenue-generating workflows. An alert involving a privileged identity that administers critical systems usually has higher business impact than an alert involving a low-privilege account on a non-critical device, even if the suspicious behavior looks similar. Impact also includes time sensitivity, because some issues cause immediate disruption, like ransomware, while others cause longer-term harm, like stealthy data theft. Business impact is not only financial, because it can include reputational damage, legal or regulatory consequences, and operational downtime. For beginners, the practical takeaway is that impact is not a guess based on fear. It is a reasoned assessment tied to asset criticality, data sensitivity, and business dependencies. This is why enrichment that tags assets and identities by importance is so valuable, because it lets you assess impact quickly rather than relying on memory or manual lookups. When impact is considered consistently, the SOC spends attention where it reduces real risk, not just where alerts are allowed. Now bring these three together by recognizing that prioritization is often a trade-off, and the best decisions come from comparing them rather than trying to collapse them into a single label. Consider an alert that suggests privilege escalation on a critical system, which has high severity and high impact, but the evidence might be weak because the detection is based on a single ambiguous event. In that case, the priority might still be high, but the first action might be a fast validation rather than a full investigation, because you need to confirm the signal before spending extensive time. Consider a different alert that is very likely true, such as a confirmed malware detection on a low-impact test machine, which has high confidence but lower business impact. That might be handled promptly, but with less urgency than an alert that threatens customer-facing services, especially if resources are limited. Consider a third alert that has moderate severity and moderate impact, but extremely high confidence, like a clearly unauthorized login from an impossible location for a privileged account, which may deserve immediate action because the combination of confidence and impact is strong. These examples show why trade-offs matter, because a single dimension does not tell the whole story. A mature SOC uses these dimensions to decide what to handle first and how much effort to invest at each stage. A useful way to manage trade-offs in real time is to think in two steps. First, decide whether the alert demands immediate validation, and then decide whether it demands immediate containment or escalation. Validation is about confirming the alert is real and understanding the scope, while containment is about stopping harm, and the order matters because acting too quickly on low-confidence signals can disrupt the business unnecessarily. High severity and high impact often justify immediate validation, even if confidence is moderate, because the cost of missing a real event can be huge. High confidence and high impact can justify immediate containment actions, because the likelihood of harm is high and delay increases damage. High severity and low impact might still deserve attention, but it might be scheduled after higher impact issues unless it is a sign of spreading activity. Low severity and high impact is less common, but it can occur when small events affect critical systems, like subtle changes to payment workflows, and those may deserve higher priority than their surface severity suggests. This two-step thinking keeps prioritization from becoming a single rush decision and helps the team allocate effort intelligently. It also aligns with how analysts work, because they often need to confirm before they act. Another critical concept is that prioritization should be consistent enough that different analysts would reach similar decisions, because inconsistency creates chaos and makes performance hard to measure. Consistency does not require rigid rules for every scenario, but it does require shared definitions for what counts as high severity, what counts as high confidence, and what counts as high impact in the organization. Shared definitions can be supported by enrichment fields, such as privilege indicators, asset criticality tags, and data sensitivity classifications, because those provide objective anchors. Consistency also comes from documenting why an alert was prioritized in a certain way, especially for borderline cases, because that documentation helps tuning and training later. For beginners, it is important to see that prioritization is part of SOC governance, not just personal judgment, because the SOC must operate as a team under pressure. If prioritization is vague, the SOC can spend too much time debating, and time is often the most expensive resource during an incident. A consistent approach reduces friction and accelerates response. Prioritization also interacts with workload management, because a SOC is always balancing immediate response with the need to prevent backlog. If the team only chases high-severity alerts and ignores lower severity but high-confidence issues, those lower issues can accumulate and hide patterns that later become severe. If the team spends too much time on low-confidence alerts, backlog grows and true positives can be missed. This is why triage tiers exist conceptually, even if you never label them formally, because you want a fast pass for the highest priority signals and a controlled path for lower priority signals. Grouping related alerts into a single case can also improve prioritization, because a cluster of related moderate alerts can represent a high-severity incident when viewed together. For example, multiple small anomalies across identity, endpoint, and network telemetry might be more important than any one of them alone. Prioritization should therefore consider not only individual alerts, but also patterns across alerts, because attackers often generate a trail rather than a single obvious warning. For beginners, the main point is that prioritization is both a decision about a single alert and a decision about managing the queue as a whole. Trade-offs are also shaped by the cost of response, which is an often overlooked part of business impact. Some responses are low cost, like requesting additional context or monitoring an account more closely, while others are high cost, like disabling accounts, isolating systems, or stopping services. When confidence is low, high-cost actions are risky because they can cause unnecessary disruption and erode trust in the SOC. When confidence is high and impact is high, high-cost actions may be justified because the alternative is worse. This is why a SOC often uses staged response, where the first steps are reversible and focused on gathering evidence, while containment steps are taken when the evidence meets a higher bar. For beginners, it helps to remember that prioritization is not just about which alert is scary. It is about which alert deserves which level of action given what you know right now. This staged thinking reduces the chance of overreacting to noise, while still enabling fast action when real risk is present. It also helps the SOC maintain credibility with the business. Measurement and feedback are what keep prioritization from drifting, because the environment and detections change over time. If a certain alert type is frequently high severity but usually false, that is a signal to improve the detection logic or enrichment so confidence increases or noise decreases. If a certain alert type is frequently true but treated as low priority, that might indicate that business impact tagging is wrong or that the SOC is underestimating a risk. Metrics like time to triage, time to confirm, and true positive rate by alert type can reveal whether your prioritization model matches reality. This is not about creating a perfect score, but about learning whether your decisions are producing the outcomes you want, such as catching important issues early and minimizing wasted effort. Feedback also helps recalibrate severity definitions, because what seemed minor might prove to be an early indicator of larger incidents. Over time, a SOC that learns from outcomes becomes faster and more accurate in prioritization because it is guided by evidence. For beginners, the takeaway is that prioritization is a living practice, and good teams get better at it because they measure, review, and adjust. As we conclude, remember that prioritizing alerts is a trade-off decision that balances severity, confidence, and business impact, and the goal is to spend attention where it most reduces risk. Severity tells you how bad the suspected behavior could be. Confidence tells you how likely it is to be real, and impact tells you what the organization stands to lose based on the identities and assets involved. Trade-offs are inevitable, so a strong approach separates validation from containment, uses enrichment to make impact and privilege visible quickly, and applies consistent definitions so the team can move without endless debate. Prioritization also considers workload, because backlog hides real issues, and it considers response cost, because high-impact actions require higher confidence. Finally, prioritization improves over time through measurement and feedback, because outcomes teach you which alerts deserve more attention and which detections need refinement. If you can reason through these dimensions clearly, you will be able to handle exam questions that ask you to choose what to address first, and you will also understand how a real SOC stays effective under pressure.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.